guys, it is Carl Brown from guitarlessons365.com. I have got a fantastic song today. We're gonna learn how to do, finally, all of Goodbye to Romance. So I've done this, just the solo, a long time ago, but I do have a goal of finishing up all of Randy Rhoads' guitar work that he did with Ozzy by the end of this year. So I really need to get to Goodbye to Romance, which is one of his most popular tracks, and people have been barking at me for years to get this done. So we're gonna finally do it today. This is gonna be the album version. The album version has a lot of guitar layers in it, so I'm really kind of playing like the main part each time. I'm not doing all the, it's the reason why I have not done it is because there's a lot of guitar layering going on, a lot of things happening, but there is a main part to each section, which I feel is the most important part. So we're going to be doing that one throughout. So it sounds great. It's just an amazing track, and I'm going to do the solo again. So we're going to put it all here in this one video. Now, before I do, please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, ring the notification bell so you know there's a new video, and watch these videos, people. Please, even if it's songs you hate, watch them. It really, really helps the channel. If the videos are actually viewed, it helps it get pushed out to more people. And if you really want to support what I do here on YouTube, the best way to do it is actually clicking the link below to my Guitar Academy. That link will give you a free 7-day trial too. Now, my Guitar Academy contains all of my guitar courses, from complete beginner courses to more advanced courses on technique, improvisation, ear training, theory. I go live there every single weekend with Academy members, so we have a kind of live question and answer sessions, just live streams. It's a lot of fun, so I hope you guys will come and check out the community and join us. All right, so let's jump into this track. I'm in standard tuning here. I know I should be using a Les Paul. My Les Paul is not sounding great today, so I'm just switched to this guy. All right, so let's take a look at this little intro, this quick little intro. So we're gonna start, he does this a few times in the track, and he does a slight variation each time. So this first time is probably the most simplistic way he plays it. So we're gonna play the 3rd fret there on the B to the open high E string. And then you're gonna pick, you kind of wanna think of these as 2 lead-in notes. And then we start playing a melody over like kind of a moving bass line. So the first bass note is going to be the open D string. So you can do a little melody on top of that while you let that D ring, the open D ring. So we have the open D string, and you're going to pick the 2nd fret on the high E string at the same time you pick the open D. So you pick that, hammer on 3, and then pick 2 again and pull off to the open. So you're just letting the D ring out the whole time there. And then we do the same thing. We have a melody over a new bass note, which is the bass note is at the 4th fret there on the A. And the melody is gonna be this. So that first melody note will be played at the same time that you hit the bass note, of course. So that's the 2nd fret there on the high E. Then you pull off to the open string, over to the 3rd fret of the B, and then the high E again. By the way, I'm kind of holding my pick with my middle finger here, so it's kind of not really an orthodox, traditional fingerstyle technique by any stretch of the imagination. I'm holding my pick, so I want to be able to grab it quickly. So we have this so far. And then we're gonna do the same thing over a new bass note, which is now the 2nd fret on the A. And the melody is like this. So that's gonna, the first melody note played at the same time as the bass note will be the 3rd fret there on the B. Then the high E string. And then you're gonna play the 2nd fret on the B, pull off to the open B. So. And then it goes to an A7 chord. But you can play all 4 notes. So just an open A string, 2nd fret there on the D, open G, and then the 2nd fret there on the B. But it sounds like he mostly just plays the notes that are fretted at the 2nd fret, so the D string and the B. And and then he picks open G string, 3rd fret there on the B, then the open high E, and then that takes us into verse number 1. So verse number 1 looks like this. That goes into the chorus. So this first verse is slightly different than the second chorus, just like a little 1 chord he throws in there in the second verse when we get there. But so this first thing, we're going to start with the D major 7 chord. So there's just a bar at the 5th fret here, across the 5 strings, from the high E to the A. And then you're going to play the 7th fret in front of that bar on the D string, 6th fret on the G string, and then a 7th fret there on the B. So you strum across those. And then he picks the D string, G string, and high E, and then strum them again. Then he goes to this chord, which is like another inversion of this D7, D major 7, sorry. So it's just a bar across the 7th fret there. You cross the from the high E to the D string. You don't really know that note on the high E though, because you're going to be playing the 9th fret here on the high E. So there's just those top 4 strings, and then this F sharp minor 7 chord, which is another bar across 5 strings at the 9th fret, and in front of that you're going to play the 11th fret there on the D string, the 10th fret there on the B, and the 12th fret on the high E. So we have this. All right, from there we have this. Okay, so we're gonna basically come to this G chord, and you're gonna have the 3rd fret on the low E, 2nd fret there on the A, open D, open G, and the 3rd fret there on the B, but you're gonna leave the high E open. So as he picks across the chord, it becomes from a G major chord to a G major 6 chord. Like I said, a high E, that's the 6th. So we're basically, what he's gonna do is strum like the bottom strings first, so kind of at least the bottom 2 strings. And then you're gonna pick the G to the D, the B to the G, and then the high E to the D, the B string. So you kind of held that note on top. So picking again, G, D, B, G, then high E, B. All right, so here, like I said, there's a lot of layers here. You see the other things like adding lines, but this is obviously the main part. So it's a little lick that leads into the A chord. So we're gonna open G string, hammer 2 on the G, and then 4, and then 2 on the B. And then here you're gonna grab the 3rd fret, and when you go grab the 3rd fret up there on the B, go over and grab the 2nd fret there on the D string. Now this right here, you can kind of pick across it, and that's an A7 sus4, and then just a regular A7 when he resolves that melody note on the B string down to the 2nd fret, and then the open B, and then back to the melody note on the 2nd fret. And when you play that, you can come back up, slide up to the 3rd fret, and then the 5th, and then it starts back over with these chords again. So we basically have this. And that takes us back to the second time through these chords. We'll start with that D major 7th again. But after we play it, we're gonna have a little major 7 arpeggio. So this is gonna be start on the 9th fret on the high E string, pull off to 5, over to 7 on the B, and 7 on the G. And then that same chord, we did it before, and the same F sharp minor 7 into the G. And here you can just do like that again, take it up to the E, or like that. I like to kind of do that too, because that takes us into the chorus. So all together for that verse. And then we get to the chorus. So the chorus looks like this. Back to kind of the intro again. So that right there, it starts with the open D string. So we have the open D, and then you can play the 3rd fret there on the B, and the 2nd fret on the G. And then I'm gonna hammer on 3 to 5 on the B, and then back to that 3. And then we're going to play this first inversion A major. So that's going to be the 4th fret there on the A string, and you're going to bar the 2nd fret across the B, G, and the D with it. So you have that, and what you're going to do is you're going to pick the A string, then the D string, then jump over to the B string, and then the G. And then we have another. So that's kind of difficult because you have to hold this chord shape and then still play this little melody, which is play 2 on the B, hammer the 3rd fret, hammer the 5th fret. So not easy. Goes like that. All right, then it gets a little bit easier. We're just going to play a B minor chord. So we're gonna just play a regular B minor. So it's a bar at the 2nd fret, 3rd fret on the B, 4th on the G, and the D. So just pick straight across from the 5th string all the way to the high E, and then back down to the D string. And then the next chord, all we're gonna do is just pick up the notes, pick up the index finger. So we have the open A and the open high E now. Same chords in the middle, notes in the middle. And then kind of back to this G again. Kind of just like we did in the verse, pretty close. And then we're gonna go to this A7 again. But it's kind of strummed. It's not, doesn't have that little, kind of arpeggiated picking and that little melody moving on the B string. It's just kind of, which is open A string, 2nd fret there on the D, open G. That 3rd fret again makes it a sus4, makes it a A7 sus4 real quick. And then resolve that note down to the 2nd fret. And then here, he does a little bit, this little fill that happens that takes us back to the repeat. And there's multiple lines. There's like a little descending acoustic part, and then throughout the track he'll do it slightly differently. But I think most consistently the most important line that he plays there is, which is just 2/4 on the A, and then 2/4 on the D, and then back to that open D to start the chorus over. So we have this. So now we have a part that's pretty similar to the intro, but it's a little variation. It looks like this. So we're gonna start the same, those two little pickup notes, and then we have this. So that was a little different. So we still have the same bass line. So it's going to be the D to the C sharp to the B to the A. So we have, so the open D. So the melody now has changed a little bit over this D. So we have this 2nd fret, then 5th fret there on the high E. Then pick 3, pull off to 2. That was a little bit different there. Now that part right there is the same as before, the same melody over the C sharp. And then when we get to the next part, it's a little trill in there. So we have this, still the same 2nd fret there on the A string, 3rd fret there on the B, and then go to the high E. And then the melody is going to go to that 2nd fret on the B again, but instead of going just B to the, and pulling off to the open E, it does a little, plays 2, hammers 3, pull back off to 2, pull back off to the open, and then to that A7 again. So it's just kind of like this. And you can just kind of slide up like that to kind of set up for the verse. Now the second verse is just slightly different from the verse. Looks like this. Back to the chorus. So I don't know if you picked up what was different. So we can start with that same D major 7 just at the very beginning of this second verse. When you slide up to that D major 7, you play that, but then he quickly goes back to a D6-9 chord. So that's instead of going like we did in the first verse, just play the D major 7 first, and then come back here, and you're gonna play the 5th fret there on the A, and you're gonna bar the with your index finger across the 4th fret of the D and the G, and then you're gonna play the 5th fret there on the B and the 5th fret on the high E string. So it's a D6-9. So we have this, and then the same. Everything's the same after that. Same little arpeggio. So it's just that little, the very beginning of the second verse. And then we go into the same chorus that we did before, so nothing new to learn there. And then it goes back into that intro riff again. And this one is a little bit different than the first two. It looks like this. So we're just gonna basically, same thing, then we're just gonna go over the D, we're gonna go there's that little trill again. So we have there's two startup notes. So it's the kind of lead-in notes. And the open D string and the melody over it will be 2, 3 on the high E, and then back to the 2, hammer 3, pull back off to 2, pull back up to the open E. And then the same thing for the middle. Over that C sharp, but nothing's different there. And then at the end, it's just the same as the second time in that drill we did before, and the second time we played that riff. And then that takes us into the bridge. Now this bridge section how I'm playing this, is a lot of guitar parts in here. So there's a lot of ways to interpret this. And there's a couple of sections where things really move around at the end, where I'm trying to drop him back and doing the version that he did on the live tribute album. Even though the first half of it, I'm not really doing that. I'm kind of staying closer to the chords that are happening on the recording. So the original recording. So let me play through this for you real quick, and then I'll show you how to play it. All right, and that takes us into the killer solo. So now this first chord here is an E minor 7th chord. So it's an open E string, but you're going to be bar across the 7th fret from the high E to the A. All right, now on top, in front of that, you're going to play the 10th fret there on the high E, 8th fret there on the B string, and then 9th fret there on the D. So I play, and then after he strums, it just kind of picks across it. And then you're going to move the melody note, the note on the high E string, down to the 9th fret, and then pull off to the 7th fret. And then you're going to come back to this chord now. Now this is an A7 chord, so it's an open A string, 7th fret there on the D, 9th on the G, 8 on the B, 9 on the high E. So bar that index finger though, because you want to, he goes down, he picks up that melody note on the high E string from the 9 down to 7, and then back to the 9. So we have this so far. And then we have this little figure here, especially that I just kind of copied how he did it on the tribute album. Kind of went with that part, so I'm going to stick with that because there's a lot going on right here on the recording. So what we're going to do here is we're going to play the 7th fret on the G and the B. Play those. You're going to hammer on the 9th fret on the G and the 8th on the B, and then pull back off to that bar. And then you're going to play the 9th fret on the D and the 7th fret on the G together, and slide down to this D major chord down here, which is going to be at the 4th fret on the A. I'm sorry, 4th fret on the D string, 2nd fret here on the G string, and the 3rd fret there on the B. So we have this. And then we have a little fill there, and that's going to be play 2 on the G, hammer 4, pull back off to 2, and then play 3 on the B, hammer on 5, pull back off to 3, and then play 4-2 on the G. So with this, and then back and do that lick again. And as soon as you get down here the second time, this D chord, there's a little melody that comes in there that's pretty prominent in the mix, so I'm gonna go and grab that. 10, 8, 7 on the B, and then we start over. So So after this, when you start it over and you get to this, you do this figure once. Then we have the ending, which is going to be this, which is open D string, 7th fret on the G and the B. And then keep the open D string ringing. You're going to play now the 9th on the G, 8 on the B, and then move that up 2 frets. And that leads us into the solo. Now the solo is over the chorus, so nothing really new to learn there, for the rhythm at least, but a lot to learn for the solo. So let me play through it real quick for you, and then I'll show you how to play it note for note. All right, so that is a beautiful, beautiful solo. He plays it almost note for note live as well. Little variation on the tribute. When I did this before, I can't remember if I did the tribute version or not, but there's just that little bend that he really kind of, few bends he adds on the live version, but he plays it pretty much note for note beyond that. All right, so this solo starts with this kind of opening phrase. So that starts at the 9th fret there on the D. You're gonna hammer 7 to 9 on the D, then 7 to 9 on the G, and then back to the 7 on the G. And when you get that 7 on the G, slide up to 11, and then 14. And then that's gonna be a pull off from 15 to 14 on the high E, over to 17 on the B. Then we have this. So that little lick starts with a rake. He's raking in across, so he's muting the strings underneath it. He's going to start the melody at the 14th fret on the high string. He's going to rake into that. So he's going to rake into that 14. Then play 15 again, pull off to 14. Over to 17 on the B. Back to the 14 on the high E, and back to that 17 on the B, and then pull off 15 to 14 on the B string. And then you're going to end it like that, which is a bend at the 17th fret there on the B, over to 14 on the high E string, and then back to the 17 on the B without the bend. So all together. All right, and then we have this kind of faster lick. So that's going to start on the 14th fret on the high E string. You go 14, 15 real quick. And then we're going to start some pull-offs. We're going to pull off from 17, pull off to 15, pull off to 14, over to 17 on the B, back to 14 on the high E. So it is. So over that 17 on the B, then you're going to go back to that 14 on the high E, and then you're going to pull off again 17, 15, 14, but on the B string. So this. From there, we're going to pull off 15 to 14. So you're going to pick that again, and then go down to 16 on the G string, pull off to 14, and you're going to kind of come back up and reverse that. Hammer back onto 16, and play 14 on the B, hammer 15, hammer 17. So we have this. And then we get to the high E string, and when he gets to the high E string, he starts doing a series of trills. So this first trill is between 14 and 15 on the high E. Do that a little bit, and then move it up to 15, 17. And then 17, 19. And then he just does it once at between 19 and 21. Because he has a little phrase there. He goes, so basically just do that quick little hammer pull and then go. So that's a half step bend and release at the 21st fret on the high E. Down to 19, back to the 21, back to 19, over to 22 on the B string, and back to that 19 on the high E string, and then the half step bend and release at the 21st fret again. All right, next phrase. So that's going to be back here in the 7th position. So you're going to bend at the 9th fret on the G. And then you're going to play 7 on the B and 7 on the high E string. Then play 10, 7 on the B, then 8, 7. Back to that bend of the 9 on the G. And then play 7 on the B, and then the 9 without the bend. And then we have this lick. So that's going to be, you got to really time that bend and release correctly. So we have the 9th fret on the high E string. It's a half step bend and release, but it's not like, you got to, it's kind of, timed like the rest of the notes. So 9, half step bend up, release that bend, pull off to 7. Over to 10 on the B, and back to that 7 on the high E. So then we just go down. When you get that 7 on the high E, come all the way down, 10, 8, 7 on the B, over to 9 on the G. And then go back to the 7 on the B, and then down to the 9 on the G, 7, 6. So it is. And then when you get to the 6, kind of a little palm mute. 6, 7, 9 on the G, back to that 7 on the B. So it is. And then we have this. Kind of save that last lick for a second. So we have, that's 9, 10 on the high E string, then 7, 9 on the high, little sequence here, and then 10 on the B, back to 7 on the high E. Then 8, 10 on the B, and 7, 8 on the B. Then 9 on the G to 7 on the B. And then play 7, 9 on the G. And then 6, 7 on the G. Back up to the 9. And then 11. So like this. And then we have this last lick. Now this one's a little bit weird. Randy liked to play a lot of 3-note per string stuff. And there's a double note in there, so it's kind of weird to figure out what he was doing because of course there's no video of him playing this. But I think I've got it worked out what he's actually doing. So we're gonna start here at the 14, 16, 18 on the G string. And then 15, 17, 19 on the B. So now then he plays this note again, but he plays it here. So he plays the same note, but it sounds slightly different because it's on a different string. And the reason he shifts down and played it right here is he's setting up that. So we basically have this. Those first 6 notes, and then shift back and play the 14th fret, 14, 15, 17 on the high E string. And then come back down, 15, 14, over to 17 on the B string, and then you're gonna play 14 on the B and 15 on the 14 on the high E, 15 on the B together. So you hear that double note in there, so it's an intentional double note because he plays it exact same way live. And that is it for the solo. It is an amazing solo. He had a lot of them in his very short life. But then we have the chorus again. So nothing new to learn there. And then we, it's kind of the chorus riff, even though it sounds like sometimes he's singing a verse, it's still over the chorus riff, and then the obvious chorus melody over it as well. But a little bit later in the song, we have this kind of single note riff that happens over the chorus. Looks like this. Kind of fades out. So it's just gonna, the 5th fret on the A, then 4 and 2, then 3, 5, 3 on the low E. That's what it is. Then play 3, 5 again. And then slide up to 6, up to 7, and then back down to 5. And then we have this little, so that's sliding into 9 on the low E. So play 9, 7, then 9, 7 on the A, and the D, and the G. And then play 10, 8, 7 on the B, to 9 on the G, down to 7. This is when the vocals come back in, but he still keeps playing a little melody on the G string mostly. 7, 9, 11, back to 9, and it'll bend and release and slide back down to 7. That's the way it is. And then go 7, 9, then slide to 11 and back down to 9. And then we have this. And that's just kind of, you get 7 on the G, slide down to 6, pick that 6, slide down to 4, pick that and slide down to 2, pick that and pull off to the open string, and then 4, 2, palm muted on the D string to the open D. So that's it, that little, I guess you can call it like a little short, little melodic idea. It's not really a solo that happens on later on in the song. And then it's just the chorus, which has, he's adding a lot of little fills and stuff over it, but I'm not gonna cover that. It's pretty much just play the chorus riff. Like I said, there's a lot of layers. I'm not gonna tackle them all. But there is at the very end of the song, after we ended on the D, he's just, you can hear him kind of just playing, there's a bunch of guitars doing harmonics, but he's kind of just doing the harmonics at the 7th fret across the D, G, and the B, and then the 7th fret across the the G, B, and the high E. You can kind of hear that, he kind of goes back and forth between them. He's doing it on multiple guitars, so. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's kind of an in-depth breakdown here, and it's kind of intricate with some of the fingerstyle stuff, and then that killer solo. But it is well worth it once you get this song underneath your fingers, and that's why I was really trying to do it, so you can pretty much do this all on one guitar. Just play through it like I did there, and then just rip during the solo. It's a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.